All right. Again, welcome everyone. My name is Dr. Aaron Lee, member of the physics department here and the director of the summer research program. I'm really enthused to see this very large turnout, right? I kind of always naively expect like 5 people will show up. But to have 33 people in the Zoom right now is pretty cool. So I'm glad there's such interest in the summer research program because I think this program is a unique thing that St. Mary's can offer, particularly St. Mary's being a small liberal arts college, that really can give students that participate in a very competitive edge when they leave St. Mary's, either going on to grad school or going on to industry or something else. So again, the kind of goal for the first 20 minutes or so is that I will kind of give an overview of the program, give you a sense of kind of what the calendar looks like. If you were to participate in summer research, what does that look like in terms of your calendar over the next year? What are the expectations that students have? And what are the benefits of doing something like the summer research program? Who is and is not eligible? All right, please mute yourself, Lee. Thank you. Who is eligible for the summer research program? And then I assume everyone's going to be super enthused and enthusiastic to apply after this presentation. So then I'll also point out where you can go to find the application materials and what the deadlines and timelines are for that as well. Then I'll stop the recording and we'll open it up to questions. So why do the summer research program? Kind of broad picture is that conducting research as part of the summer research program provides you an opportunity to explore and conduct real research under the guidance of the faculty here at St. Mary's. And this is different than just participating in a lab that's attached to a course. Because with research, we are truly discovering and exploring the unknown, right? If you think of all of knowledge as just a big circle, at the end of the summer research program, you yourself will have expanded that circle a little bit, expanding the knowledge of the collective humankind in terms of physics or psychology or chemistry, what have you. But we are really hoping to kind of engage you in the novel and real research process to give you a sense of what real research looks like. Because I think students sometimes can get the misconception, right? When you do you take a science class, problem sets, and you solve some problems, but you can check the answer in the back of the book, right? So you can see if you did it right or not. And then you go to lab, and usually labs are kind of having you reproduce well-known results, so you kind of can compare to, right? Did I get the same yield as I should have, compared to other researchers? But actual research, academic research or laboratory-based research, we don't know the answer. There is no back of the book, which can make it both very exciting because you really are, expanding the collective understanding of, whatever topic you're researching. But it can also be very challenging in that regard as well, because not only do we have to conduct the research itself, but we have to think about what it means, right, in order to assess and validate, the results that we have in the laboratory. So research, as a result, right, is many things, right? It's about communication, right? You communicating with your faculty mentor, you communicating your results, maybe in group meetings to other people who are knowledgeable about the problem. You communicating your results to colleagues, you communicating your results maybe in the form of papers or posters. So participating in the summer research program not only gives you exposure to, right, what laboratory-based science research can look and feel like, but also helps you develop the necessary skills to become a well-functioning scientist, like communication. Research is also a lot about determination, right? It's about, we have a problem in mind that we are going to then spend, in this case, 10 weeks tackling, right? The same problem, right? Imagine doing the same problem set for 10 weeks. That we are tackling the same sorts of problems, right? Just digging deeper and deeper and deeper, probing our understanding as deep as we can, trying to really master and become experts at this one particular thing. So research then, what you would do, here at St. Mary's as part of the summer research program is that you would get, if admitted, you are paired with a faculty member, and then for 10 weeks you conduct research under their guidance and mentorship. which could be either you proposing your own project. This is typically very common in, say, psychology, where you have your own project you want to explore, and a faculty member is kind of there to serve and guide you. Or you assist professors with their research program, in which case then you kind of get brought up to speed on what they're researching and why it's important and relevant and fun. And then you actually participate in the conducting the methodology, the conducting of the experiment, the analysis of the results. So research in many ways can be what you make of it, right? Your mentor is there to guide you, but really this experience is to also help you develop the intellectual independence of what it means to do research. So while the faculty, for example, are there to guide you, right? The hope is that the people that are admitted to the summer research program really are dedicated to spending 10 weeks over the summer, right? Thinking about this one particular problem or this one thing. And you'll find, or if you talk to past students who have done this in the past, you'll find that the students that really did invest in the experience get an incredible amount out of it in terms of the mentorship, the training of necessary skills that will make them more competitive for, say, grad school or industry after St. Mary's, but as well just find it a novel and fascinating exposure to what real research looks like, which you don't necessarily always get in a traditional kind of undergraduate science course. Now, conducting research, particularly when you focus on one particular problem for 10 weeks, right? It might just be you and the faculty mentor, right, that's doing this for 10 weeks. It can be very challenging, right? Because you're kind of going in, you're exploring the unknown. And it might be, there's also many cases, this is very common in grad school where, sometimes research can be very isolating, right? Where you're just kind of tackling this one thing day after day after day in the lab. Now, here at St. Mary's, we do not want the 10-week summer research program to feel isolating, right? You will interact very closely with your faculty mentor, but we also provide a wealth of opportunities for you to build community with the fellow research students that are participating over the summer, as well as engage in workshops around professional development. For example, every week you will attend some professional development workshop that's on something like science communication, resume writing, how to design a conference poster, ethics and the ethics in science is a new one that we're developing that we might offer in the summer. And you'll also get the opportunity to listen to each other give talks over the summer, and you'll be able to provide feedback to each other on your kind of science communication and the research itself. So there's a lot that goes on over these 10 weeks. We keep you very busy, but it's a lot of, I think, very meaningful and useful experiences that really will serve you, in the days after the program. So let me go on a little bit, and we'll go back in detail into a bit more about kind of what goes on during the summer research program itself. But most of the program is contained in the summer. There's this 10-week period in the summer where you are working closely with your faculty mentor, you are conducting the research, you are going to these professional development talks, and other community events, which might include, like we're hoping to include something like Bagel Mondays or something, where kind of, just we all get together and just hang out and break bread every Monday. There typically is also usually a field trip or two, right? You maybe do Exploratorium or something like that. That we also hope to do. During that time, you will give, if you look at the last bullet point, during that time, you will also give 2 talks to SRP. So not only are you conducting the research, but you are also developing towards, giving these 2 talks to only the people participating in SRP. But once the 10-week period is over, that is not the end of the summer research program. That is the end of the bulk of the summer research program. But in the fall, there's also a couple other things that you will be expected to participate in. You will give one of your kind of your final talk about your experience with the summer research program at some time in the fall, which will be open to the public. And you will also design a poster, which you will present during a poster session that's also available to the public. So let's break this down a little bit in terms of when all of this is mostly happening. So you have a sense of kind of what your calendar might look like. For this particular academic year, Thursday, May 23rd is the last day of finals. So that's the end of kind of finals week for the spring semester. That Saturday, I think, then is commencement for your friends that are graduating. That next week, that next Wednesday, May 29th, is when the summer research program starts, right? That is week 1 of the summer research program. And then it goes for 10 weeks, ending on the first week of August. And that's when the summer research program ends. You would then get about a month off before classes start back up again. And then, like I referenced or mentioned in the previous slide, sometime in December is when you would give some sort of SRP public talk that would be, that would be open for the public to attend. And then also sometime in October, you would kind of design and we would get printed for you conference posters. And we have a kind of mini conference poster session in Brousseau sometime in October. There's another event in October that's becoming more important that we also are now going to expect kind of SRP student participation in, and that is participating in some kind of informal dinner with the advisory board. So the SRP program is funded mostly through donors and alumni, and there's an advisory board that kind of helps develop the structure and the fundraising and the programming around everything that is now the SRP program. And a lot of these people on this board are past alumni or benefactors to the college. And it is an important part, right? If all of you are pursuing some sort of research career or some sort of career in the sciences, beyond SMC, you will find that it is an important part of your career and your job description. I would not say call this schmoozing with the donors, but to engage with the donors who are providing the necessary funding so that this opportunity is available. It's important to maintain relationships not only with the people in your lab, but also with the funding agencies, which could be individuals or it could be government agencies. And in my opinion, it's also very important to also maintain a relationship with the public, by engaging in public outreach, which is why we also make these events open to anyone who wants to attend them. So that kind of gives you a sense of the obligations of what happens when. I would now like to kind of break down what are the responsibilities or the expectations for those of you who participate in the research program. So I will say this is a competitive program. Typically, we're able to admit, kind of using rough round numbers, about 20 students. And unfortunately, more than 20 applicants apply, which means not everyone gets in. So it is competitive in that there are a limited number of spaces that we have funding for, and it also depends on how, which particular faculty are interested in doing mentoring over the summer. But round numbers, typically we have about 20 students. And like other research experience for undergrads, like if you were to look nationally for kind of summer internships or kind of summer research programs like this one that are open to a national pool, right? Given the limited number of spots that are available for this highly in-demand program, we therefore expect that those who are admitted rise up to meet all of these overall expectations, just as national programs would, or just as in a summer job or a summer internship would expect. Because if a student is now kind of willing to rise up to what we expect them to be able to do, then again, since this is in high demand, their spot should instead be given to someone else. So I say that in that this has not been a huge issue, but this occasionally is an issue where I think some students kind of view this summer research program as a fallback option. And I think that's the wrong framing. Because I would say instead, because usually those are students that are trying to apply to other programs, and then if they don't get in, they'll do summer research. Which again, I think is the wrong framing. By all means, if there are national programs you're interested in, go for it, try to apply. But I would not view SMC's summer research program as a fallback, right? I would think of it instead as a novel opportunity that you only have access to, right? This is an opportunity that only SMC students get to apply to, right? When you apply to a national program, you are going up against all the STEM majors in the United States. Here, you're just applying, in the smaller pool of the St. Mary's students, which then means that we, the faculty, right, can engage with a larger fraction of the overall STEM population here at St. Mary's through this program, compared to if we were to allow this to be a national program. So That's how I would think about this. Think of it as another opportunity that you could pursue in order to engage with a summer research experience. So let me kind of walk through the expectations that are kind of expected of the student. And these are also, there's essentially a contract that you will sign. You know, when you agree to participate in the SRP program, you will essentially be signing a contract between you and I that says that you will, rise up to meet these expectations. So as I said before, the program starts on the 29th of May, the Wednesday right after finals week. That is when orientation will occur for everyone. So we'll be expected that everyone is present, on day one. We will have some sort of orientation that will go over, right, the logistics of the program, and particularly for people who work in Brousseau, right, there'll be some things we have to do regarding kind of accessing hours off out, accessing labs off hours and things like that. But that is kind of taken to be day one, and everyone is here ready to hit the ground running on day one. Now, whether you jump into the lab on day one, that's up to whatever research mentor you get paired with, and then you will kind of work out with them kind of what is the best way to get started with the actual research. But it will be expected that everyone is here for the first orientation on day one. And typically in the past, we have had that every Wednesday, there is some sort of all SRP meeting that everyone is expected to attend. During this time, during the 10-week summer program, you should think of yourself as a full-time worker, right? You should think of this as a job. If you don't like the word job, you think of it as in this is a trial run for grad school, right? This is something that you are expected to be present with, throughout the entire program, right? And just like if you just decide not to show up for a week, your job would likely fire you. We expect you to be present during the entire 10-week program. We appreciate and acknowledge that you are sacrificing a good chunk of your summer to do this. But again, that was your choice, and we are so happy that you decided to do that, because we think you'll get a lot out of this experience. But again, let's view this in the framing of this is something that you have agreed to participate in, and this is what you're going to make of your summer in summer 2024. So in that regard, you will agree to not take additional classes, not take other jobs, or take any sort of lengthy family vacation, right? You're gone Friday, right? You leave Friday afternoon and come back Sunday night, fine. But if you come to me and say that you're going to be gone for an entire week in July, well, then you're going to be gone for the rest of the weeks in July and August as well, right? That's not something that we're really looking for. So you will agree not to take lengthy family vacations during this time as well. You are expected to be here, right? A day or two that you miss, fine, right? That's between you and your research mentor. But you will not kind of disappear for a week or 2 weeks. In the same vein, since you're all here, students will attend and participate in all kind of presentations that they're expected of, namely the 2 talks they have to give, any professional development events we have, which typically happen on Wednesdays, and we are looking towards, maybe having, a guest speaker or 2, which will then be expected that you participate with those as well. All of this, now that we are far enough away from all the remote learning and remote engagement stuff, we have now gone back to the traditional kind of research. All research and events are to happen in person. Better mentoring occurs when it is in person, and the professional development events really do require us all to be together in the same room. So it is also expected that you will be able to be present here on campus during those 10 weeks, and we're not offering remote options. And again, just like a job, if this is something that you're unable to meet, right? Unfortunately, and I don't think we've gotten to this point yet, but we have tiptoed very close for some people in the past, where we had to, right? It might be the case where if you cannot meet these expectations, we might have to ask you to leave the program. We want a cohort that, where everyone is here and giving 100%. Now, given that, right, you've gotten in, huzzah, right? You're okay with all these expectations, and you're willing to put in all the work that is necessary to get a lot out of this experience. That's awesome. Like I kind of said earlier, this experience kind of more closely represents what grad school might feel like, right? For those of you who are considering pursuing graduate school, or what a summer internship might feel like. Now, in both of those cases, you are typically paid for your time and efforts. As a grad student in the sciences, you typically have a salary. So we think it's also important to acknowledge, that your work, right? Yes, we know you're getting the mentoring and the experience out of this, but dedicating 10 weeks working full time here on campus, in a lab, deserves recognition, right? And if this were a job, you would be paid. So if I can start with talking about some of the benefits, this is a paid gig. This, again, if we think of this as a job, right, which kind of makes the expectations easier to chew, like all jobs, you also get paid for this. So I believe it's $5,000, which is paid in multiple installments. I think it's roughly about $1,000 a month in the summer, and it's like $1,500 to $2,000 or so in the fall. And these, I think there's 4 total installments, and they're paid and are contingent on kind of completion of the program requirements. So during the summer, you're kind of paid, every month, and then you get your final 4th check, as assuming that you have done the poster, have done the talks, and have attended that dinner that you have to attend in the fall semester. In addition, this money doesn't really impact you other than supplies, but your faculty mentors also receive money to support kind of research, buy supplies, fund research travel. Nothing should be ever coming out of pocket for you with this sort of stuff. Additionally, since we expect you to be here for 10 weeks, you are also provided on-campus housing. There is no meal plan associated with the summer residence, though, so you will have to make kind of arrangements or bring a car or something like that for groceries and whatnot. But you are provided on-campus housing over this 10-week program. And if you happen to live off campus but are local, like you live in an apartment in Moraga or Walnut Creek, and you would rather not move on campus since you live right here, instead of being provided on-campus housing, I believe we give you a one-time $500 stipend, right, as kind of to offset rent costs and travel to campus and stuff like that. Right, so those are some of the financial benefits that you get out of doing the program, as well as the invaluable, mentoring experience, obviously. So now let's talk a little bit about who is eligible, who can participate in this program, and I want all of you, hopefully, to be able to apply. One requirement is that you will have to eventually be registered for fall 2024 courses. And all that means is that you can't have graduated. If you're graduating this spring, my apologies, you are not eligible for this program, right? So this is open to kind of current freshmen, sophomores, juniors, if you want to think of it that way. It will be assumed that you are and have been kind of a full-time student in good standing with St. Mary's, and that you have declared a major in the School of Science, which could be a BA, BS, or by participating in the 3+2 engineering program. Right? I think they're across the entire School of Science, right? Everyone, as long as you have a School of Science degree declared, right, you are eligible in that regard. Though assuming that there are faculty that are able to mentor your projects, which I'll go into in a little bit. We have decided, we think, there's a lot of data to support, for equity reasons that we should not include, and so we do not include GPA as part of the application process. So we do not look at your transcripts. We do not ask letter writers to really talk about kind of your grades. Rather, we ask that we have your application and your letters or letter assess your kind of maturity, independence, ability, right, and likeliness to succeed kind of in a 10-week intense laboratory setting. The only thing regarding grades that we will check, but after you get in. So if you get into the program, we will kind of have the registrar do a quick peek at your transcript. Again, not to kind of see how many A's versus B's you got, but just to make sure that you're not failing out of all your classes or right about to be put on academic probation or something like that. So assuming that you're not kind of in one of those kind of more dire, serious situations, GPA and grades are not really considered. And again, we do not look at them at all until after you have been accepted into the program. So now let me give you a sense of kind of the timeline, kind of when all this happens in terms of when you want to apply and when you're kind of considering applying and writing your applications and stuff like that. So on January 12th, 2024, to give you a little behind the scenes peek, starting next week, I will start reaching out to faculty to see who is interested in participating in the summer research program, how many students they are willing to mentor, and trying to make sure that all fields of science are represented in some way across the faculty that are able to mentor. I will then compile a sort of a single PDF or a single kind of Google Doc that will list all the professors who are taking on students over the summer, what their particular research programs are, in case, for those who are interested in participating in an already existing research program, as well as figuring out which faculty are willing to mentor students who also come with their own ideas for the projects they want to conduct. So this will all live at this particular link. No need to copy it and write it down. This is just located on the School of Science summer research page. So I kind of did a screenshot here. Not intended for you to read. I know it's very small. But if you just go to the School of Science page, on the St. Mary's website, there should be a tab for summer research program that you can click, and it should bring you to this page, which is the same as this link. In January, once you get to this page and scroll down, you will see this red box where it says kind of summer research application process. That is where all the application materials will live. I think it's still there now, but all the links are broken, right? So the links will be fixed, to be updated to have the 2024 summer research program application form, letter of recommendation form, as well as a link for you to see what faculty are mentoring students and what their particular projects are, as well as which of them are willing to take on students who have their own ideas. So you can go look at it now if you want. Again, the application form and the recommendation forms, those links are broke. And you can see last year's, right now, the link to the faculty research is not broken, but do remember it's last year's list of projects and faculty. But you can get a sense, that might help you give a sense of kind of what you will see in January. So that will all live at the School of Science Summer Research Program page. And starting on Friday, January 12th, the application will formally launch. We will then give you about a month to put your application together, and I'll go through exactly what the application is on the next slide. But we will have the entire application packet due about a month later on Friday, February 16th at 5 p.m. And again, we can hold ourselves to high standards, right? Since this is a high demand program. So when we say 5 p.m., we say 5 p.m. And there's, I don't know, sometimes a desire to wait to the utmost last minute sometimes, and let's not do that, or unless you want to live, dangerously. But if we get an application that gets in at 5:01 p.m., it's a good chance that we're not going to take it very seriously, or we might even not even look at it at all. Since there's a very high demand for this program. So make sure you get things in on time. And I think all the application requires you to do to turn it in is you just email it to Martha White, one of the kind of School of Science administrators. Once you submit in February 16th, I will take the applications and then have a kind of and get together with all the department chairs in the School of Science. And we will go through the applications and determine who is preliminarily accepted to the program. So we will kind of rank the applications, and at that point we will know how many students we are able to fund and admit, and we will then give a preliminary acceptance to kind of the top 20 students, or however many we can have. You will then be informed mid-March whether you have gotten to this stage and what faculty members you have possibly been paired with. You will be given options, and I'll say more about that in a second. So mid-March, you will learn kind of whether or not you have kind of made this first cut and which faculty members are possible candidates for you to be paired up with for the summer research program. Over the next 2 to 3 weeks or so, it's then kind of expected that you will meet with these individual faculty members, kind of sit down and maybe have some one-on-ones with these faculty members. They can give you kind of a sense of what their research program is. You can kind of give them a sense of what your interests are. It is highly likely you will already know who these faculty are. Like typically chem students get paired with chem professors, based on their interests and who we think would be the best matches, And so then students and mentors will kind of work out what pairings make the most sense. And I will kind of make kind of final declarations of who gets paired with whom at that point. Once the pairings have been more or less finalized, you will work with your soon-to-be research mentor to draft a short research proposal that just, generally outlines kind of what you hope to, what you hope to accomplish over the summer 10 weeks. So they'll give you a sense of kind of what their program is and kind of what they hope that you as a student will accomplish. You'll just kind of formally write it up, in a very small document that you'll turn in kind of mid-April. That will be paired with, on completion of that kind of then is, you can think of it as the contract between you and that professor, right? This is what we're going to do. This is what we hope to accomplish, and we will do this together as a mentor-researcher pair. You will then also, right, assuming at that point you are willing to commit to being a part of the summer research program, you will sign the expectations contract, and then you are formally part of the SRP program for that year. Then most people then are done until the beginning of the summer research program. The exception is those of you like psychology, for example, who may require IRB approval because you're doing experiments that involve human beings. You will have to work with your faculty mentor on getting IRB approval before the summer starts. We want that all taken care of before the beginning of the summer, which means you more or less have to start working on it right away. Those of you in psych, right, this is nothing new. You have heard or are familiar with the process, and your faculty mentor will work with you to get everything done. And then the program starts, whenever I said it, the end of May or beginning of June, whatever it was. All right, so last slide. So what the application looks like. A complete competitive application for SRP includes 3 things. And again, these are the things that will be made available on those links on the SRP webpage in January, whenever the date I said in January. There will be an application form that we ask you to fill out, which will give us, some kind of, personal information about yourself, and we'll have a couple small prompts, that we're expecting, like a paragraph or 2, no big major essays, but a handful of prompts that ask you about why you want to do SRP, why research, to help us gauge your kind of academic and personal preparedness as part of the program. In that application as well, it will ask you to also state one of the two following things, right? You will either, if you are a student that's proposing your own project, at this point, hopefully, if you're hoping to do your own project, right, I would reach out to the faculty, right away, right, and start talking with them in January and early February to make sure that they are on the same page of like, this is the project I want to do. Do you think you could possibly mentor me in this? And hopefully that you've kind of gotten a thumbs up, thumbs down at that point. In that case, then, on top of the completed application form, we will ask for some sort of description of the project you're proposing to do with this particular professor or professors. In the case where you are not proposing your own project, we will ask you then to read through all the faculty research projects that are available, again, on that webpage. And again, you can go and look at last year's if you want a sense of what these look like, where we will ask you to give kind of a ranked list of which professors and research projects you are most interested in participating in over the summer. And then those will form kind of what we match students with. If you are admitted to the program, we will of course try as hard as possible to ensure that everyone gets matched with their first pick. But in the case where that might be challenging because of availability or or other factors, we ask for a ranked list of, I think, like 4 or so, possible options that we can connect students with. The last piece is that we ask for 1 letter of rec, which there is a form that the letter of rec writer must fill out, which will also be available on that website. And it is due the same day as the application. So it's good for your letter writer, which is probably going to be, a faculty member here at SRP, to reach out, once you know you're going to apply and you have an idea of who you think could write a strong letter, to reach out to them sooner rather than later, since we want that also to be, part of the completed application in February. And again, going back to the timeline, you submit all these things in February, then in mid-March, if you are provisionally admitted, right, we might come back and say, like, congrats, like, based on the ranked list of projects you provided us, we have paired you with the possible following, professors, right? Then you go meet with them and figure out kind of which one you will end up working with. And then the fun begins. And once the research program starts, yeah, it's quite a fun summer experience. So that was a lot of information. Again, don't worry, this thing's recorded, so this will live online somewhere, and I'm sure we'll blast out a link at some point, so you can review this information if you want. But before I stop recording, I will just say, for those listening right now in Electron land, you should not hesitate to contact me at any point, whether it's stop by my office in Galileo 103B, or just shoot me an email if you have questions about the application process, if you want clarification on anything that's in these slides, or you want, even if you want feedback or something on part of the application. That's what I'm here for, right, to help kind of, and I think it might be, like I heard that Professor Roof is potentially doing something with the, at the STEM Center that might be around application writing. And I know, like, the psychology, like, society or club or something has reached out to me about possibly doing an application workshop. So there might be also other resources that are available to you in the months as you're preparing your application and letter. All right, so thank you everyone for listening. Don't leave, because we'll do a Q&A right now, but I will stop recording at this point, and so the Q&A can be earnest.